this video, I'd like to walk you through this example. It's a future value problem, but it seems that the trouble students are having with this isn't the finite math topic, the financial math, but rather the algebra, the solving the equation once you have it set up correctly. So let's walk through this together. What we have is an example that gives us a future value, an interest rate, payment amount, and we want to determine how many payments, so find n, how many payments are made to get this future value. So solve for n. Now, an interesting thing about this problem is that we're going to end up having exponent problem where the variable, in this case the variable will be n, but the variable is an exponent. And the piece of algebra that you want to remember is how to solve for a variable when the variable is an exponent. Here's a little mnemonic I'd like to give you. If you have an x stuck up in a tree, how do you get it down? And the answer is throw a log at it. So, sorry for the poor drawing here, but if you can picture this as a log, when this log hits the x will fall down, right? So in the same way, if I take the log of both sides of this equation, I'm going to use the natural log, so that's log base e. You could also use the common log, log base 10, and your basic scientific calculator will have either of those. But when we do the log of both sides, we have the log, or in this case, natural log of b to the x power. What happens is that x, that exponent, falls right down. And why is that? That's an exponent property. So when we have an exponent with a log, natural log, or any other base log, the x falls down. So you might have needed a review of that. Do you see how you would then solve for x? The next step would then be to divide both sides by that natural log of b. So we would have x is equal to the natural log of y divided by the natural log of b. Let's see how that applies with our example. And here's a really good skill, a really good process for doing these problems. I'm going to write the formula. Future value equals the payment times the quantity of 1 plus I to the n minus 1, all divided by I, where I is the interest. We're given the future value is 2,000. We're given the payment is 500. Interest rate is 4%. So we can fill those values in. And now it's just plugging in and solving. This is where most students were making a mistake, is once we get to solving it. So here's what it would look like when I solve this. I'm going to start by dividing both sides by 500. And multiplying both sides by 4 100ths. Do you see why I'm doing that? If I divide by 500, I would eliminate this 500. By multiplying by 4 100ths, I'd eliminate this. And so what we've got left is 1 and 400ths. That's the 1 plus 4 100ths to the n minus 1. Do you see what we could do next? The next step is going to be to add 1 to both sides. So I'm going to have, let me throw this into the calculator to get a number we could write down. 2,000 divided by 500, of course, is 4. And then multiplied by 4 100ths plus 1 plus 1 would be 1.16. So we have 1.16 equals 1.04 to the nth power. And here is where the variable is that exponent. The n is the exponent. So this is why we're going to use a log of both sides to get that n down. So I could, last step is divide both sides by the natural log of 1 400ths, and that's going to give me m. Let's try it on my calculator. If I do the natural log of 1.16 and divide that by the natural log of 1.04, I'm going to get that the number of payments is 3.78. Now, a bank doesn't allow you to make 3.78 payments. To get a future value of 2,000, we have to make at least 3.78 payments. So we're going to have to round up, always rounding up. So we'll have to make 4 payments, because if I made 3 payments, it wouldn't be quite enough. 4 will put us just over the value that we were looking for. So n, and this is why it says, by the way, round up to the nearest integer as needed. And that's why this comes up being n, the number of payments, equals 4. Well, I hope that this short video helped you with the algebra of this example. This is an important quiz question, but also an important proctored exam question. So I hope that you'll work through a few examples like this and make sure you're comfortable solving them on your own.